AskReddit by Joes85. What's known to exist only because it was caught on camera. Recently, a scientist was scrolling through some Hubble telescope images and saw a picture of this weird white streak going across space. https://science.nasa.gov/missions/hubble/hubble-seas-possible-run-away-black-hole-creating-a-closed bracket 1 in a million chance that someone would notice this and even less of a chance they wouldn't dismiss it as lens flare or something. As they dug deeper, they found it wasn't a mistake and, in fact, they had just discovered the first of its kind supermassive black hole, weighing as much as 20 million suns, speeding through space and leaving a 200,000 light-year long trail of newborn stars, twice the diameter of our Milky Way galaxy. Space fucks my mind up. There are a large number of archaeological sites that were only discovered once aerial photography became a thing. https://what's-new/what's-transforming-understanding-of-past/closed bracket. Can confirm. Here in Ireland we found the remains of literally hundreds of ring forts that were just considered part of the natural landscape until they were photographed from above in the 20th century. Deep sea life. That weird one with a see-through head. Sprites. https://en.m.wikipedia.org/wiki/sprite_open bracket lightning closed bracket vertical firing, red tinted and cold lighting. They were theoretical until one was captured on camera in 1989. Yeah, this is the shit. The fact that when a horse gallops all four legs are off the ground at one point. Horses move so fast no one knew for sure until they could snap a picture during a horse race. Edit. https://www.smithsonian-institution/how-198-century-photographer-first-galloping-horse-1809090/. They presumed it was the case, but artists usually got the gait completely wrong, showing front and back legs. He Epsom Derby 2 JPG. Moor Bridges photos showed the opposite is true, and all 4 feet are off the ground when the hind legs are reaching forward. https://qph.cf2.corac.dn.net/main-kim-g-c9464850c2c2a6727b b9914830b81-lq The golden mole. They were thought to be extinct since no one had seen one in 80 years. Not that people didn't think they were real, they just didn't think they were still around. Is this like a shiny Pokemon? The moving stones in Death Valley. It was considered paranormal until it was recorded and the reason solved the mystery. Basically rain, cold below freezing temperatures turned the shallow ponds into ice. The high winds shift the sheets of ice pushing the rocks across the desert floor. Funny how something that seemed so mysterious ended up having a logical reason. The pioneers used to ride those babies for miles. The fact that a crack will travel across a pane of glass faster than a bullet through the air. Ever seen a Prince Rupert drop? Their strength is incredible. This answer is a bit of a stretch, but when scientists were looking at the spectrum of the sun, sunlight split by a prism into the various lines caused by elements absorbing and re-emitting light, they saw all the lines of hydrogen with an extra line. They thought it was a new unknown element and called it helium after Helios, the Greek sun god. Helium was later isolated on Earth and its spectrum matched the mystery element of the sun. Related to astronomy, black holes too. The recent photo definitely proved their existence, they had been only hypothesized until then. A handful of unknown or previously thought to be extinct animals caught on game cameras deep in the wilderness. Odd and interesting animal behavior and relationships like coyotes and badgers' friendship, or the keeping of pet frogs by giant burrowing tarantulas to keep their burrows and egg slings free of tiny insects. I love the idea of a frog and a tarantula having an understanding. The big voids in the Great Pyramid were discovered in the last 10 years with a technique called muon imaging. Basically, they track how much cosmic rays get blocked when going through different parts of the pyramid. One of the smaller passageways found using this method was the hallway above of the main entrance to the pyramid. They ended up sticking a small camera inside to image it. It hasn't been seen directly by people in over 4,500 years. You can see a picture here, too, JPG. And inside the new JPG, probably the workers' secret smoke break room. Jimmy Carter being attacked by a hissing swamp rabbit. This sounds far too interesting. I'm going to need some more info on this one. That bear picking up the road cone and putting it back upright. Nobody would have known at all. https://www.youtube.com/watch?zepcfl8jcgw. Our Osha bear is committed to worksite safety. Rogue waves. https://yahoo.be/gktjss1x0ea ? Feature shared for the longest time. Talk of water walls was seen as Siemens yarn, with even the scientific community deeming it as impossible for such huge coherent waves to form without breaking apart. And most terrifying, we only have recordings from large steel ships who can tank such waves. Any ship before those simply disappeared without any trace. I spent 20 years in the Navy. I've seen one. They are very real. The entire inner part of Papua was considered uninhabitable for centuries, until airplanes flew over it in the 30s and found there were hundreds of different tribes living in those mountain ranges. Mountain lions in Illinois, supposedly extinct since the late 1800s, though reportings of sightings in rural areas were common but not believed until trail cams became a thing. Ball lightning. I read about 10 years ago that it was finally caught on tape in an unrelated lab experiment. I read this as an incredible source, but I can no longer find mention of this article on the internet. I experienced ball lighting myself and read a lot about it back then to figure out WTH I experienced. Empty lions in Illinois is a great one. People have been reporting them in the area for years with the same "there are no big cars here, it's probably a big house cat or a dog" explanation. Then an acquaintance of my in-laws snapped a picture of a big fuck all empty lion on his back porch looking in his sliding glass door. Then we get the explanation that they have ranges and will travel within an area, and we have a few breeding pairs in the area and half a dozen that travel through the area. The photos that go with the common gunfighter legends. And X-200B. Posed photos, but still. They didn't have the capability to take in action photos, but Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. The Earps, Billy the Kid, Wild Bill Hickok. There is like one to a small handful of photos of each of them, and if they didn't have the photos, people wouldn't have believed they existed. Even now, they are kind of the first round of famous legends who had real photos taken of them. I live in Canada, and for the longest time I just thought Billy the Kid, Jesse James and all those Wild West folk heroes were just that, folk stories. I didn't realize they were all real people. American history is fascinating as fuck. Giant squid only caught on camera the first time in 2006. Then, to the horror of everyone, they found an even bigger one, the colossal squid, 1 year later in 2007. Imagine being the guy who named the giant squid, only to have an even bigger one found. It seems like they were really grasping for straws with the name colossal squid. I guess humongous squid is next. There's still debate over whether earthquake lights, https://en.wikipedia youtube.org/wiki/earthquake_light closed bracket are a real thing, but there's some pretty convincing footage of them now that very much does not look like just power transformers exploding etc. Here's one from an earthquake in Wellington, NZ. https://www.youtube.com/watch?VJQXISXHNCW closed bracket dart. I think science has recently accepted that they're real after dismissing reports of them for centuries. The prevailing theory is that it's kind of like reverse lightning, caused by static energy in the ground shooting up into the sky. Particles behaving like waves. Double slit experiment. Matter is energy. Everything is waves. Surfers are onto something. Elbow squid. Oh yeah. Giant colossal squids? Their dead ones wash ashore. And sailors encounter them since they come up once in a while. These magnapini fuckers just mind their own business deep in the ocean fishing for something. Apparently their population is quite spread out as well. Presiding officer tampering with ballot papers in local elections in India. https://www.youtube.com/watch?KNZKLV0CBGC right square bracket open bracket https://www.youtube.com watch v equals KNZKLV0CBGC. Ball lightning was dismissed until enough photos and video were captured. It is still poorly understood but accepted that it exists. I'm 38 years old. Saw ball lightning when I was 16, while walking through the neighborhood with a friend. About 10 yards ahead, 3 extremely quick, plasma-like glowing blue balls crashed into the street in front of us. Distinct electrical whirring sound, and they splashed like water droplets. Each was similar in size to a softball. It was a hot, humid, clear summer day. Eye of the desert. https://en.m.wikipedia.org/wiki/Richard_structure. Hubble's redshift photos which proved that the universe was expanding. Until then it was believed that universe was static. Einstein even changed one of his equations because he at that time thought that the universe was constant.